Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So I'm sure most of you have already watched the Another Eden Global Officials channel's live stream where they did announce the newest update coming this week, and this week is already here. So this update, version 3.0.100, should launch tomorrow, approximately 24 hours from now. Hopefully, anyone on iOS like myself should get it a couple of hours early to get an early head start on this massive and amazing update. You can clearly see this is going to be the part 3 of the main story. It's called Into the Hollow, the Chronos Empire Strikes Back. So this is going to have a steampunk feel, a lot of technology or older technology, a lot of futuristic kind of enemies, a lot of new mechanics, I believe, introduced into the game itself in terms of battling, things like environment and other effects during battle, and of course, what new update and main story comes without a new unit? So first off, of course, we are continuing on after chapter 84, and so Aldo was left at a cliffhanger, and so this will start obviously in space-time rift. For those who have made it to chapter 84, you'll remember the end of chapter 84 or 83, where Aldo has an encounter with a certain somebody. Now, first of all, we do have a new unit, Ashtir. Ashtir was actually featured in the very early days or early chapters of Another Eden, and also during the complex dream. And so she is going to be a free unit, and I don't know too much about her. I hear she can establish a defensive zone. She also comes with a buddy, and the buddy system is a new kind of system where you get almost like an extra unit of sorts that does things to help assist your fight and assist your team in battle. Not sure if you can customize the buddies, because there's a number of different buddies out there. And so let me know in the comments below if you are able to switch buddies, or for example, is Ashtir's buddy tied to Ashtir such that you must use Ashtir when using her buddy. So that should be really interesting. I'm looking forward to unlocking and learning more about the buddy system and kind of experimenting to see what kind of cool combos we can do with that. Note that to start this, of course, you will have to have finished chapter 84 and updated to the new version. But what everyone is waiting for is our favorite fire sword or chainsaw girl, Menoka. So Menoka, of course, is a fire slash unit. She looks to be extremely powerful, and she actually comes with a buddy as well. She does have zero farming move that does a ton of damage depending on the number of enemies out there. It can rival the DPS of a Neptune, so over 3,000 mod if there's a lot of enemies out there. So up to 5 enemies can do about 3,000 mod or so. Really, really crazy stuff. Depending on the conditions that she does and interactions with her buddy, she can actually enter something called a lethal mode, which is very similar to trance mode by Alma, where she gets power of user plus 50, and then her one hit kill can do an insane amount of damage. Now, the interesting thing about Menoka is that she does a lot of self-harm. That means she actually damages your entire front line, including her. And depending on how much damage she does, which is 20% of the current HP of your team, that converts into stacks, which then are used to calculate multipliers into her main DPS moves. And so depending on if you can increase the max HP of your team to a certain amount, then her damage is going to go through the roof. She has AoEs as well as single target attacks. Her main DPS move is one that can ignore barriers. So if you know the power of using Alma, for example, or even Efi, having barrier bypass ESMU is another one that does that. Extremely powerful and very, very useful. One other thing about Menoka, she can stack elemental break fire, so that means your fire attacks will now do double damage, and it's going to be 3 stacks. So very similar to the mechanics on Alter Hesmina, for example, or I believe AS Flamelpis has that for magic. So she can do a ton of things. And like I said, she does come with a buddy, so the real question is whether or not you are summoning for the unit or the buddy. Well, depending on how you like things, you can summon for either, but they do come together if you get her as a 5-star. If you get her as a 4.5, I imagine that you do have to side grade to 5-star to unlock the ability to use her buddy, which is called Tetra. And so, again, this particular buddy does actually attacks every turn, and it can heal all party members for 20% of max HP and restore all statuses. So you can see that she hurts everyone, and then her buddy heals everyone back. And depending on whether or not your team had exactly 80% or less, it'll stack a charge. And depending on how long the battle goes, you can get up to 8 charges, which I imagine takes 8 turns, and then it'll convert Menoka to lethal mode, in which case she has a super one-shot kill. She can, I think she can set slash zone at that point. However, I mean, the battle might be over before then, long, past. So, I know a lot of you have saved up for Menoka, and of course, there are a lot of new story chapters, maps and dungeons, and so on and so forth. Looking forward to some of these new mechanics which were alluded to in the live stream. So some environmental effects where these will have an impact on your battle. Phase shift, where apparently you can fight more difficult versions of certain enemies, and you want to do that because those drops actually differ from the regular kind of mobs that you get. And so I imagine that these materials will be used for either upgrading certain weapons or gear, or even crafting new weapons and gear itself. So looking forward to trying that. And what's really interesting is the ship mechanic. So this really brings me back to those Final Fantasy days where instead of just walking on land, you get to go to a port and use your ship to explore new and otherwise unexplored areas. So I'm really glad that WFS is using a mechanic like this. This really does open up a lot of potential for the game, such that, instead of just walking, you have ships, maybe other types of, modes of transport. Anything new is obviously really, really good. And so the buddy system, aka the sidekick system, is unlocked, and you can, like I said, each buddy or sidekick will have its own effects and abilities. And finally, another mechanic in the fights. So again, abilities that activate when certain conditions are fulfilled in battle, like I said, certain charges or certain things like that. So I'm not an expert. I haven't really checked out any Japan spoilers, and so you and I will all learn more as we play through this. Now, another thing that was alluded to and mentioned in the live stream is bounty hunting. So not sure how this is going to work, but obviously you're going to have to take note of the where certain enemies or horrors are, and now you're going to take on missions, kill them, go back, and probably claim rewards. And so I'm wondering if this is only enemies in the new area, or do you have to go back in other areas? Now, if this is a self-contained kind of update, then I imagine all the bounty hunting, so to speak, will be all in this new area. And this is actually a new time layer called the Hollow Layer. So different from Parallel Time Layer, different from the altars where you have the dawn or twilight. So again, the possibilities are endless as WFS continues to expand the worlds out there for Aldo and his friends. And for those who have been playing since day one and have a lot of weapons that you have not used for a very long time, either because they have been obsolete or, let's be honest, haven't farmed all of them out, we're looking at you, Otherlands. Some of these long forgotten weapons are now going to be able to be reforged. Note that you do have to have them at plus 10, so maxed out stats before you can reforge. And so, whether or not you want to waste your green keys or certain red keys, depending on which weapon classes you're trying to get to plus 10, up to you, but some of them are extremely powerful. I do know that there is a thread on the AE subreddit that did talk about this. Again, I'm not an expert because I haven't really researched too much into it, but looking forward for more possibilities for some of those older weapons out there. And for those who are new to the game, this is something you've seen in symphonies or other kind of collaborations where you can set the difficulty. And so for veterans, of course, setting higher difficulties will be fun. I'm imagining that you get better items, as it mentions here. So yeah, You can set it if you're new to the game and you really can't handle it, but you've blazed through chapter 1 to 84. At least you have a chance to try it out, not get, honestly gated by the difficulty, which is really, really good. In my opinion, the main story is one of the main draws to the game, and so we don't want it to be too difficult, although of course it should be mildly challenging at the very least, especially since you always are taking on some story bosses, and it would be a little bit disappointing if they just were a cakewalk, right? So again, another mechanic. See, lots of new mechanics in the game. So I'm glad that WFS is trying different things. I think some of you have been asking for this, where not so many random fights. Now you can see where the fights are going to originate. Again, the Symphony and Sealed Realm, for example, had things like that, where you can see the enemies and try to either walk around them, or if you want to run into them and get those 1, 20, 100 kills in order to unlock achievements, you can do so as well. Lots of information so far, so let me know in the comments what you think so far. I know, again, many of you have watched the live stream, so you know what's up already, but again, even though we know what's up, we have never tried this, unless you've watched Japanese gameplay. So of course, we're going to be summoning for Menoka as well as Tetra the Buddy, aka Sidekick. There is a Star Dream encounter, however, we just got one a month ago, and this one is actually inferior by far, which I'll go into more in depth tomorrow in my Should You Summon video. This is specifically only up to 2.13.100 due to the fact that main story part 3, when released in Japan, was only in line with chapter 1 of the Apocrypha. So as much as you say, this is unfortunate, WFS is cheap, or so on and so forth, keep in mind this is literally a bonus Star Dream, since we actually got an up-to-date one just about a month or so ago. So don't feel too bad that, this one's not as great, and you can technically still use this to select either a secondary unit that you really wanted to get but didn't get a chance to because you used your valuable Star Dream the first time around, or if you're newer to the game and you have a lot of different holes, you might have already, for example, picked Flamelopus, consensus number 1 pick, and then you can use this one to pick up some other units, which I'll have a few suggestions for you tomorrow. And they do explain that this was for Japan. So again, we are not getting screwed. Global is not getting shafted. This is just equal to Japan, and in my opinion is a pure bonus. Fateful 3 times max, of course, for Menoka, and a new banner as well, where they're going to guarantee one of the, 8 units here. So this is 12% chance then, right? 12.5% chance. And these are some relatively older units, but still some pretty tried and true great ones, including Cyan Scyther, which is my altar waifu. I'm into waifus left, right, and center. Okay, now back to the bonuses, and there are a lot of them. First of all, by starting a new section of the main story, that includes veterans like myself, which will be starting chapter 85, you will get a guaranteed 5-star drop. And by clearing all of that whole main story arc, you'll get 1,000 stones at the end. That's on top of the chapter bonuses, where each time you finish a chapter, you usually get about 100 stones. Now, if you're newer to the game and you haven't finished any part of the main story, depending on where you are, they break it down based on when those chunks were released. For example, if you just started chapter 13, for example, say you're on chapter 13, you have to finish chapter 25, start chapter 26, which is a new story arc, and play that through until the next story break, so to speak. And likewise, if you're kind of halfway through chapter 50 or so on and so forth, you have to finish chapter 56, for example, finish that arc, start a new arc at chapter 50 whatever 7, and then move on to chapter 60 something. It's about a 10 chapter chunk for most of us, playing through the story. Well worth your efforts, because you get a guaranteed 5-star for starting, as well as you get 1,000 stones for finishing. Now, one thing note is that this drop is specifically only certain 5-star characters that are for zone or singing. So let's just click on it and see what they say. Not sure. Okay, maybe I can. Oh, here we go. So about 1 in 30 chance of getting a number of different units you can clearly see here. Most of them are older, so not necessarily valuable for everyone. However, there is still Eva. There are most of the altered, including, hey, Silver Striker, let's go. 1 in 33 chance of getting a unit you want. Not bad. So anyways, let's finish up the notice here. There's so much that was dropped. I am very, very happy with all these bonuses. So here's the breakdown. Okay. We also do get more Chronostones packages for discounts if you are spending money. Increased login bonuses for 3 months, it looks like. So I'm not sure. Scott on the live stream mentioned there's only a maximum bonus of 1,800 stones, but it doesn't mention anything here. So if this is not the case, that means if you log in for 3 months, you get a whole bunch of login bonuses. Actually, no, that's only a month and a bit. So not bad at all. All of March and the end week of February. Make sure you log in every day, everyone. One last thing. If you didn't get enough free Sprinkles of Salt or Whispers of Time, you get another round of 10. And it guarantees a time drop, which is another guaranteed 5-star at the end of all that. So look at that. We can have 2 free 5-stars, 10 single pulls, a month of logins, 1,000 stones. Wow. And this is all obviously in part due to our celebration of Global Anniversary 4, and of course all this new story arc as well. Now I've known that some of you probably missed out on the last Whisper of Time, or you have some leftover Whisper of Time fragment kind of thing, and so I'm not really sure how the leftovers work, but this one you will get a full fresh round of 10 in order to accumulate 10 and then get your free 5-star afterwards. So as of tomorrow's update, then you can now farm the other lands to get more upgrade materials, especially for those who are newer to the game. Like myself, I was actually day 1, and so I ran this many times. Probably didn't get nearly as many materials as I need to upgrade all of them to plus 10. I think most of my other lands gear is only like low, except for Alcanactos, which I believe is plus 8, and I think I have a bulk Faust at 10, but you know, my Crescent Shadow is very low. Delozyphos, and of course some of the staff from future other lands, Elzion, I didn't even get to finish up. So lots of stuff to do, if you want to diverge from some of your green key dungeons. Okay. So again, I already mentioned this, but yeah, let me know what you think about the update and the bonuses. Let me know if you are planning to pull on Menoka, or if you're still doubling back and going for Efi, Flamelopus AS. I think there's still another week or so of maybe, I'm not sure if Ultra Hismina are still here, Moonlight Hismina, or AS Nokoko. I mean, yeah, a lot of different banners out here still. Keep in mind that banners last about 2 months now, so you do have a little bit of time to kind of gather up the stones and go for the units of your choice. And of course, if you are willing to pay some money, you do have that option of the older Star Dream, and of course the Fatefuls, which do give you some chance of getting the newest featured unit. For myself, I am planning to be summoning on Menoka. Hopefully I have enough stones and don't go broke. I know it's very easy to do so unless you have a credit card or just extremely lucky with your pulls, and so of course we will all be praying to the RNG gods or deities or whatever you do, your rituals, in order to get the unit of your choice. One last thing, because this is going to be a massive update, and unfortunately I am busy, Gamer Dad does have a real job as well as real kids and a real wife, and so I may not be able to upload nearly as frequently over the next few weeks as I have other family and work obligations. So I'll patiently, slowly go through the content, and so hopefully for those who want to continue watching the content I put out, hopefully you're patient along with that. Anyways, tomorrow I'm going to be downloading the update and working on it as soon as I get it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.